Let's go on to the Barclays Africa Group, which owns Absa and Barclays Bank elsewhere in Africa.
Right, so we know what happened here. It was Barclays Africa all the way, but Barclays PLC out of London has decided it wanted to exit. It's taken its stake down from 65 to just above 50. And I got the feeling that we're now sort of in a motion of stasis because there isn't anyone else obvious to take the balance of the 51% off their hands.
And a market cap here of 132.5 billion rand, a PE of 8.9 and a dividend yield of 6.5%. So they're paying a hefty dividend yield.
That's the attraction,
or hefty dividend, rather.
Well, it's the attraction. But why don't you tell us if you have any aspirations, perhaps maybe to the 51%?
Buy this thing.
So
Look, the Registrar of Banks does not want to sell to someone who's like a private equity buyer who's going to flip it. The PIC isn't really in the business of owning big banks.
No.
There's no global player like a JP Morgan or a Citibank that wants to buy it, because they don't want the same problems that Barclays PLC has with having to capitalize it in its entirety. So I don't know. I just don't know what's happening. They can't unbundle it because they don't want it to be in weak hands.
So this is in an uncertain space, and we know that investors do not like uncertainty.
You know, uncertainty is one thing. You look at also capital adequacy ratios. So you want to make sure that, you know, the risk that has been taken is worth the business in which they're participating in. And I think that's their biggest problem in actual fact, which is the same problem that they have in the UK, by the way. That's the reason why even there they're starting to shut down some strategic partnerships and they're starting to sell out. And they've I don't know how many jobs last year alone. I think there were 6,000 jobs that were lost.
But imagine what this furore has done, and that's the exiting of Barclays, of the Africa assets, well, the attempted exiting, to clients of theirs who see a major shareholder saying this isn't working. I mean, how would you feel if you're banking with that institution?
They came out very strongly. They sent out their big guns. I remember Mr. Lewis also coming out, I think he's the head of retail at Absa, saying that no clients will be affected. I think they did really well in the PR there to convince.
But it's more the perception.
It's the perception.
Clive, it's the perception.
And I agree with you. Perception is everything. I mean, you look at me, you think I eat big pies and everything. So it's the same thing. I mean, it's the perception that counts, and I totally agree that it would be very difficult to convince a customer that, you know, we're still going well despite the fact that we've had this big guy pull out.
The business itself is still very solid and well capitalized. There's a management transition planned where Maria Ramos looks as though she's preparing to hand over the rails to Peter Matlare, ex-Tiger, which is an interesting transition.
Very interesting. What about his banking acumen? Have we seen him in the banking space at all?
In various places. I'm trying to think. He was at the SABC, Chamber of Mines, Vodacom,
most
Tiger.
lately at Tiger. There's no banking in his portfolio.
And that might even concern
I think there are going to be work and staff reductions there. I've heard originally the team that was working on the transition to Barclays Africa and all the signage has been let go because obviously now that's not going to happen.
But mess on the branding.
The core business in terms of its just functionality and its branches and all that is absolutely fine, I think.
Let's have a look at the share price graph.
Yeah, so it's sort of bounced around, and right in the middle there, Barclays actually did lower their stake to 50% through an accelerated book build. So maybe we're being a little bit too negative, but I think there is still some water to pass under this bridge.
And a lot of public relations that needs to be done around, as you said. The branding or the rebranding, going back to the old brand. Anyway, I know it's very complicated.
And the Barclays sign getting smaller. Did you notice that? When they were majority a little bit, you know, the Barclays sign was a bit bigger, and it's been getting smaller now. It's been getting smaller and smaller. So
it's going to disappear entirely.
It's a subtle rebranding exercise.
It is.
Hot or not on Barclays Africa?
Unfortunately, that's iced for me. I'm sorry. So no, not hot.
I think the overhang creates a concern, so not hot in terms of the share price.